Welcome to Retro Spectrum. This week we are skanking on into the entire discography of The Specials.
Hell yeah. I loved this one so much. So fun.
Yeah, this one was really
So
cool.
much, so fun. Too much, too young. Sorry. I had to.
This was kind of like a trip down memory lane for a band I'd never heard before because it
Totally.
reminded me of so many other bands that I'd listened to. But I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, me too.
The Specials are a ska band out of Coventry, England. They formed in 1977, so kind of right around that birth of punk rock and the Clash and Sex Pistols and all that stuff. For this, we listened to 11 of their studio albums. Really, to be honest, I kind of think there's only two of them that count as actual Specials albums. The rest of them are a weird mix of people who were in the band and left and came back. There's a lot of different lineup combinations over the course of their career.
We're definitely learning a lot in this podcast about the different ways like bands can look or what counts as a band or what counts as the same band.
There's a rotating cast of members in these bands. The main two that we kind of focus most of the conversation on are Jerry Dammers, who was the original keyboard player and lyricist. He was around for the first four albums, and Terry Hall, who was one of the two original vocalists, who left the band halfway through and started a couple of spin-offs like Fun Boy 3 and did some other work with like the Go-Go's and stuff.
Went from Rude Boys to Fun Boys, huh?
That's right. They released albums starting in 79 up through 2000, 2001-ish, and then took a really long hiatus and came back with Terry Hall in 2019 and 2021 for their most recent albums. So this one's kind of in that like late 70s, early 80s era.
I feel like this episode's coming out in the wrong season because Ghost Town is like it's on my spooky autumn jams playlist.
Maybe a little out of season.
The season where I want to pretend it's autumn. And that's when I listen to spooky songs. Also, the season of ghost towns and like tumbleweeds.
I can definitely see that. This one got into, again, a lot of the British like political atmosphere in the 70s and 80s. So that seems to be a recurring theme as well. People in England were not super having a great time in the 80s.
Is anyone having a good time anywhere at any time?
Yeah, who knows?
Listening to this kind of made me want to have a suit that's half white and half black. It definitely made me want to put that on and skank around the bus.
Yeah, this is definitely a time to find your old checkered suspenders from junior high and bust those out.
So throw on your saddle shoes and get ready for some skanking. Tomorrow's my birthday, and I'm almost out of weed.
Yeah, how you feel about that? Less the being out of weed, more the tomorrow's your birthday.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm one step closer to 40, and I'm not necessarily stoked about that.
Yeah, I feel you. Same. I had a very similar feeling.
I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah, it is
keep on
whatever.
living, I guess.
But if you had a choice between doing it and not doing it,
If I had a choice, I'd have the brain that I have now with the body that I had when I was 20, 23. I think I was at my physical peak at around 23.
I think we've mentioned this before, but I still don't think I've reached mine.
Oh yeah.
I think I have an untapped physical potential that I haven't ever achieved.
Well, I mean, yeah, we
Like, it's
all have
there.
untapped. Totally.
It's there.
The
just
thing is, though,
haven't
are
done
you
what I
gonna
need to
tap
do.
it?
Well, I don't know, but the potential, the I could idea
Yeah,
is still
but
there.
if you don't, then you have already reached your physical
Well,
peak.
but
You know
yeah,
what
but
I mean? And that's what I'm taking into account. Although I do know people who like started doing aerial in their 40s and are fucking made of steel now and shit like that. So
yeah, I'm thinking about walking around the block every now and then. So
yeah,
look
I don't know if
out.
that'll bring you to your physical
Look
peak.
out, cover of Men's Health.
Oh shit.
I already quit drinking, which used to be I'll get back in shape and just quit drinking, and then that
Speaking
didn't.
of quitting drinking, I'm opening a little champagne right now.
Well, by quitting, I mean cutting way back.
Yeah.
You
Totally
know,
the same thing.
nobody's perfect.
Those Shiner holidays are pretty good. I actually have a Shiner in my fridge, but it's a regular.
They're the best holiday beer.
Yeah, I like a good little seasoning in the beer.
I generally don't, but I love these holiday cheer ones.
The specials fucking rock, dude.
Yeah.
Which I already knew, but I didn't know how much they rocked until now.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, I'm really excited that you chose this.
I had an idea. This is a was a winding journey. There's a lot to dig into. Way more than I thought there would be.
Well, yeah, it kind of ended up being similar to the Parliament Funkadelic
Yes,
episode
it
in a
did. It's
way.
that's what I kept
Not
thinking. Was
quite
like,
as
oh my God, here's
intensely, but
another side project. Here's another spinoff
yeah,
of
it was
bands.
just a way scaled down version of that.
Yeah.
But honestly, similar music even.
Here's what I thought actually. And I had this thought today as I was listening to the second album again. Ska is the funk of the UK. I didn't realize how popular ska was. Like I didn't realize that it was like number one on the chart sort of popularity. And how much the like population identified with ska music. Because to me, ska is kind of like a joke, or like an unserious genre. Like because I feel like third wave ska here was kind of always looked down on as the like less serious
Hmm.
cousin of punk rock,
I have a lot to say about this thought.
and that like ska kids were kind of the goofier, like they're like the band nerd kids kind of, they weren't the tough guys. They didn't I don't think a lot of the political messaging, I don't that's not really true, but I don't think it translated as much to the American version of ska, and I feel like it focused more just on the like happy upbeat sound. Or maybe that's people's perception of it, because I do think that there is political messaging in a lot of ska music.
Well, yes, and see, that's a lot of the bands that tied into the specials as I was like listening and doing research and stuff were bands that I loved so much as a teenager. And then they were bands that like nobody took seriously. Like, for instance, Sublime. I feel like everyone makes fun of Sublime or thinks that a certain type of person listens to that and it's not in a serious way.
Yeah.
But their fucking lyrics are actually super deep and it's like really political and there's a lot more to it. I don't understand why people think that it's just, I don't know, stoner music or something.
I think because they did a bunch of drugs. I think that they are stoner music and
Fucking
they're
smart
stoner
people do
musicians.
drugs.
No, I
It's
know,
a
but
it's a
I think
fact.
that's why it was kind of looked down
That's
on.
bullshit. There was a lot of connections to the specials to like shit that we listened to that I was kind of a little bit unaware of. It was really fun. This whole process was super fun.
I realized I had heard a bunch of their songs,
Yeah.
never
You
in
knew more
order
than
and
you
never in
realized.
context of like which album it was on or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
totally.
I had heard a lot of their songs from covers of other bands, like
Oh,
bands that I
interesting.
listened to covered songs by the Specials that I didn't know were covers or had never went back and listened to like the original
Interesting.
version, because there was a lot of them where I was like, this sounds really familiar, and then I would search for it and it would be like, oh, Big D and the Kids Table did a cover of this one, or
Okay, yeah,
like
sure. Voodoo Glow Skulls, some shit
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. It was some ska band that I listened to growing up played that song on an album.
So something that I thought was really super fun and funny and interesting and weird as fuck, like the synchronicities of it all that happened with this is like, so we just did Parliament Funkadelic, my
Hmm.
choice. In my show, Wonderland Asylum, the scene with the Parliament Funkadelic song, the very next song that plays is The Lunatics Have Taken Over the Asylum,
Which I
which is the
had
specials.
no idea
Right.
was the specials or connected to the specials at all. And when I came across that in listening, I was like, oh,
Isn't it fucking weird that you chose this band
yeah.
next after doing Parliament Funkadelic and they were one right after the other in my lineup of music that I put in my own show?
Well, we'll have to figure out who the next band is based on the next song in your show. We'll
I
just work our way through.
Oh my god, that'd be so weird if it just happened to work out like that cuz I don't like remember off the top of my head what song is next. But then when I was doing my listen back of the specials, when that song came on, I was like, "Holy shit, what are the odds
Yeah.
that you chose the next fucking band to be the next song?" Like,
Well, and that was another one where it's like I heard that song and I was like, "Oh, I know this song." And then,
so you
that's
remember
that's
it from the
why I
show?
Oh yeah, that's why I do. And I had heard that song before too,
That's so funny.
but I never knew who it was and didn't know any of the backstory or any of the like societal
Well,
context
and
or
it's kind of from a spin-off band that is the band, but with a couple
but then
guys
also
out.
re-recorded by the
Yeah,
regular band that's the same guys that were in the spinoff but as the regular.
exactly.
Yeah,
Which is
this
some Parliament Funkadelic shit. It's
for
very
sure.
similar. Yeah.
Except the biggest difference is, I will say, like Parliament, P Funk has George Clinton. It has like the central figure that everybody kind of orbits around.
The one mainstay. Yes. Yes.
And the specials don't have that in a really weird way. I kept reading about stuff. It was so confusing. I didn't really understand it until I listened to all the albums about which lineups were which albums, and but there's not one guy in this band that like is the guy. Everybody at different times was either in and out, and there's different combinations of people, and I don't think there was any single individual that was in every version of their lineup, which that part is pretty different from P-Funk.
Yeah, there was the one main guy for a long time in all of the shit, but then once he was out, then it was not consistent anymore or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that he would tell you he is the George Clinton of the specials.
Right. And I think that he may be, but also if they're still going and he's refusing to be a part of it, I don't know what the deal is, but he's like, I saw that he had said that basically they stole the specials from him, kind of.
I think everybody stole it from each other. It's this one was the biggest mess of like what is this band even?
Yeah, I didn't really focus too much on that. I did watch a lot of really cool documentaries though.
Well, had you listened to them growing up before, or like how much?
I fucking do have no memory of how I know them or when I found out about them or anything like that. There's no really solid memory like so many of these other bands, you know what I mean? Like L7, Fugazi, like so many of these other bands. I mean, P-Funk, all this shit. I have like very specific childhood memories, but with these guys, I just know a ton of their songs and never really went further than that. And I have no idea how I know their songs. I have no idea when I found out about their songs, but I have many songs on many of my playlists of theirs and know and like a shitload of their music. I don't know. There's just so many bands, period. And then I have this really nebulous way of thinking and being. Shit just gets so confusing. You know what I mean? Like I interact with music so much and there's so much happening in my brain all the time that I have no fucking idea. But I really like them. That's all I know. And Ghost Town, I relate to. I grew up in a ghost town pretty much. So a lot of these songs I relate to heavily.
It is the soundtrack of driving around on abandoned
Totally.
streets, being the only car out
Totally.
in public. The aesthetic of the specials is really familiar to me. I listened to a
Yes.
lot of
Yes.
ska growing up, but it was all like that 90s third wave, like revival of a revival of ska music. So getting to dig into the history of what two-tone is and like what it actually means and why everything is black and white checkered, and like the fact that these guys basically came up with the mod suit aesthetic and like the pork pie hats and all the stuff that everybody in the 90s was kind of they were dressing to dress like that because it was a throwback to these bands like the specials, but the specials were also dressing like that because it was a throwback to the mods
Right.
in the 60s and stuff. Like, so it was interesting to kind of connect the dots from 1950s Jamaica ska to that being infiltrated by the next generation in the UK, which was then reinterpreted by the next generation in the US, which is where I was mostly exposed to it. So it was fun to go see the roots of a lot of stuff that I grew up
Really
listening to.
fun. All the Jamaica shit, all the reggae shit is just so good. It's so enjoyable. I just kept thinking about the Clash so much. And this band is basically the ska
I
Clash.
would argue that this band influenced the Clash, and
That's what I
as
thought
much as
too.
the Clash influenced them, I feel like I don't know that like changed their sound, but it at least informed, especially the later stuff after London Calling.
I agree, dude. I agree. As I was listening to it, that's what I was thinking the whole time. And I tried to research if there were anyone on the internet saying that the Clash was influenced by the specials, but everyone says the specials were influenced by the Clash, which, yeah, I agree. It was both, it went both ways, I think. And they toured together like in the beginnings of both of their careers, basically. The Clash just went a little more punk with it. And these guys went a little more, well, they basically created or had a hand in creating ska.
I think the distinction between two-tone and like ska is important
Oh, for sure.
because ska came from like the Jamaican roots, and had Desmond Decker and Scotalites and like all these bands out of Jamaica. And then that got filtered through with the reggae influence. And Neville, the toaster guy, the second vocalist in the specials, his dad was from Jamaica. And so it was a straight like one-to-one influence of him bringing that musical influence into the specials. But they also morphed it with punk rock that was being birthed at the same time in the UK. So that like
It's like punk meets reggae.
it was louder and faster and like heavier, but still had that. Like in my mind, it is still ska, but it's different than like OG ska,
It's
like the original.
special The fact
Yeah.
that they're called the specials is very appropriate to me because it's just got some kind of specific flavor that the closest other things to the specials to me is The Clash and Op Ivy.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking about Op Ivy the whole time, and they only have like one album, right?
I think one full length and an EP or
And
something.
yes,
It's not very
exactly.
much music.
Exactly, and I was obsessed with it when I was a teenager, so it was really cool to go back and listen to this and just see how much Op Ivy is the specials or wants to be the specials or whatever, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It was really fun. All the documentaries I watched were so fucking sick, and there's this, like, undeniable connection that once it starts talking about, like, the millennial era shit that I get, like, extra excited about it, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I was actually there for all that.
Right.
Like, I went to see those bands that they were talking about on these documentaries.
Yeah, like when they were at Warp Tour, you were at Warp
Exactly.
Tour. But they are a legacy act too. They have all this history and stuff. Like we talked about, we didn't get to see the Clash live or whatever. That was never an option. We could have seen the specials live. They were still operating in some capacity.
I tried to look up if I had seen them, and I didn't go to that Warped Tour, so no. It was a few years before our time. It was, like, 97 or something.
97, 98,
That was,
something like
like,
that.
L7 era. It might have been the same.
So, you want to run through there, getting started, and
Oh, yeah, sure.
they come out of Coventry, which is, I think, important. I'm learning so much about British history, especially in the 70s and 80s, which,
Yeah.
like, to be honest, there's American history in that time period that, like, I'm not super
Right.
familiar with. You don't ever get to it in history class, and it's right before we were born. And so
Yeah, good point.
history at best cuts off in the 60s. Like, you maybe make it up through, like, civil rights, but they don't ever really do anything
That is a great point.
after that.
I wonder if they do in school these days. Do you know?
No, I don't
Still they
actually,
still
but
rocking the same books we had?
but probably, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I'm learning a lot about the British history during that time and like Margaret Thatcher coming into power. And like I don't know where Coventry is, but I do know that it was like a manufacturing town. And it seemed like it put me in mind of Detroit. Like I guess they manufactured a bunch of cars there. And just looking at footage of it, it looks kind of like it used to be a big industry, and then all that industry kind of died out. And that happened in the later part of the 70s when punk was starting and when two-tone started, when the special started. So that like all of that background noise informed their formation and their sound, and even like down to the makeup of the band. I think that all kind of played into it because there was a really big immigrant population, especially from the Caribbean and from Jamaica and stuff. And all of that sound influenced the people who lived there, like the dudes that were in the specials. And like I said, some of them had family that was like directly from Jamaica. And so I think where they're from really had an influence on what they ended up sounding like. I guess that's probably true for most bands, but I thought in a really interesting way for them.
Well, in a really relatable way to me because where we grew up, you lived in multiple towns, but this town used to be booming back in the Teddy Roosevelt era, okay? Because
Yeah.
there's a railroad that comes through and it was like a huge stop apparently, and it was like a big deal kind of a town. And now it's pretty much a ghost town. I tried to research what constitutes a ghost town, and it's like a pretty loosey goosey term. And so this could definitely be considered a ghost town. So yeah, I didn't experience the boom part of it,
Yeah.
but I am definitely on the, like, ghost town level of the
The
things.
bust.
So, like, all the shit about Coventry and the documentaries and stuff that I was watching was, like, so fucking relatable. It's just so damn dead except for the fact that they had their shit built up a little more than this place ever got built up. I'm living in the past, super hardcore. I also was thinking during this, it's really interesting that we keep choosing these working class bands, and not obviously because we don't necessarily know ahead of time, but these left leaning political type bands. It's just so interesting to me what we're drawn to and how they're all similar in that way, but then they sonically can be completely fucking different. Like Selena was a working class origins music, Tahani music or whatever. And same with this shit. And same with most of the shit that we've done. It's like we just keep hitting these working class type genres. Like I don't know if it's a genre thing or it's a just a band thing, but it's like it's our roots. And so we're somehow like subconsciously drawn to it, I guess. It just clicked.
I wonder if there are artists that are the other side of that coin that are like pro the man, Like I think there's something inherently about being an artist that kind of makes you
Well,
anti-establishment.
okay, but a lot of musicians aren't necessarily maybe artists, if we're calling it that, because like there's people out there
like commercialism
Yes,
versus
exactly. And even, could be argued of the Spice Girls, that type of shit. Although they had a plan to
we yeah,
use
we
capitalism, right?
yeah.
I know, I brought it up a lot, but
Yeah, we've gone down that road.
but it's just interesting to think about the different levels of this shit. And actually, the Spice Girls was mentioned in one of the documentaries that I was watching, which I thought was really super funny. I took a note about it. The guy from the specials was saying in an interview, he was talking shit about Ginger Spice specifically and said that we were in a decadent mess of money making, which I agree with. But there's just a lot of interesting things that keep connecting for us that I thought about.
Well, I wonder if that type of music manifests less as like they just don't have a political message. It's just pop music or
Well,
just
yeah, it's
rock
just a lot of
music, like
vapid pop shit, and
filler.
that's why we don't like that shit.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense that we're drawn to this shit just because it has more depth or substance or whatever.
And I also think about, way back with the Clash episode, we talked about how comparing the Clash and Saves the Day, about how it went from this like worldly political message to this very introspective, very like me and my feelings type of music. And a lot of punk rock that came out in later days was less concerned with saying things about like the world at large.
Especially pop punk specifically.
And I think that happened with ska too, because I think the specials and I think the two tone label, like all of the bands in that scene, I think they were inherently political, but like also specifically political and had like
Mm-hmm.
things to say and had statements to make. And I think a lot of that eventually got filtered out, which again is why I think the third wave ska is kind of looked down on by the purists, the people who were there in the 70s of like,
That makes
this isn't
sense.
real because you're talking about like Les and Jake sing songs about like Pez and stuff,
Damn.
and it's like that's not what we're doing here.
You're so right. And like when the Aquabats came into these documentaries and shit,
Yeah.
ska kind of devolved into nonsense at a certain point.
Yeah, they're wearing like pajamas and dressed up like superheroes and stuff.
Right, which is fun as shit.
It
I
is.
loved the Aquabats, don't get me wrong. And they were in one of these documentaries, and I thought it was really funny because the guy was like, "We describe ourselves as the Specials meets Devo." And I was like, "That is exactly right. They really fucking nailed that description of themselves."
And I think there's room for those bands to have a message too, but it doesn't feel as overtly political or
Right.
like they're not as concerned with like changing the world or making like an impact on society in the way that I think the specials not only were concerned with, but actually ended up doing, as we will see. So they formed in like the late 70s from like three different bands. One of them was the Special, aka one of them was the Coventry Automatics.
I thought the Specials, aka, came after the Specials.
It was also before the specials. They used it first. And
When you
then,
texted me, "This band's a fucking mess," this is what you're talking about.
yes, I'm telling you, I'm going to do my best to keep everything in order, but it's like, it's really hard to keep a timeline on everything for me.
Totally.
So they had three different bands that Jerry Dammers, the keyboard player for the specials,
And singer. Yeah.
on the third album. He was not a singer in the first two.
And he wrote most of the songs, right?
He was the main
Yeah.
songwriter and like the band leader
He's
person.
the one with the missing teeth, right?
Yes, he has missing front
Yeah.
teeth, plays the keys.
Which he never fixed because it's iconic looking.
He kind of pulled everybody together from like all of their different groups. He got Terry Hall from like the punk band that he was in. Neville Staples, the other vocalist, was their roadie for a large part of their tour before their first
Yeah, more
releases.
roadie lore. And then he became one of the main guys.
Yeah, he just was like getting on the stage with them while they were performing. And they eventually just brought him into the act and he's like on the studio recordings.
He's pretty much the main guy in my mind,
Their lead guitar player was like a rockabilly dude.
which totally checks out.
Their rhythm guitar player he had a lot more of the like ska sort of upstrokes, like the bouncy beats. So it was like all these different members from all these different styles.
Well, and that's the coolest thing about shit like this. Like, I love bands that have like a bunch of different guys with different musical backgrounds that all blend
Yes.
together. It's like Coco Rosie with the rap and the opera. I just love that shit.
And you can hear all of those different influences in their recording.
Exactly. And it makes like a whole new thing.
Their first single that they recorded, which wasn't on their debut album, was Gangsters, which is borderline a perfect song.
So good. It's one of their best for sure. It's so fucking good.
It's one of the best.
Yeah, totally.
There's like a band's first release, it's like you have all of your ideas, and your first thing that you record is like getting as many of those ideas in the song at once. And I don't know how they did it, but like what they accomplished with the song Gangsters is like they nailed it. And really,
Yeah.
I would argue
Haunting.
almost everything from that point was like I don't know. It wasn't like trying to achieve that again, but it like they set the bar so high that I would say that like maybe nothing else they did is as good as their first single, and everything else was kind of like under that umbrella,
They have some good ass songs though. I think Ghost Town's on that level for sure, if not better. It's so fucking good.
except for Ghost Town, which ironically is their last song. So it's
It's
like they
so
have these
good.
really high peaks at the beginning and at the end, and everything in the middle is really good too of those two singles.
So
But
good.
I really think those two are, if you had to distill what the specials are and what they sound like, those two songs are like the two songs that I think
Hell yeah.
sum the band up the best.
Because all the different sounds are kind of represented in those too.
Yeah, and their messaging is clear and the vibe is already established.
I love kind of the spooky gothiness of it. It's so sexy.
It is surprisingly spooky.
Totally.
I didn't really anticipate that.
And that's why I was drawn to them before, you know?
But I think that's the Britishness of it. And I think it's Terry Hall's voice and demeanor. He is a goth guy, kind of. And I think that comes across in the way that he sings and like the way that
Totally.
his voice sounds and just how he like looks and carries himself.
Did you watch their music videos?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, so good. He stares into the camera.
Very deadpan, very dry. And then later in the later 80s, he looks like Robert Smith. Like he did the big poofy hair on the top
Yeah,
with like
totally.
he just turned into a goth guy. And I think that was present without it even really existing or being intentional. I think that vibe exists in their music just because of who they are.
Exactly. I agree. Totally. I think it was just him.
Even though he didn't write the lyrics,
Right.
like just the way that it was presented.
It was he was emoting. That's
Yeah.
all it was. And I feel like bands in the synthy 80s bands that you don't like that I'm obsessed with, the gothy synthy shit, I think they were inspired by the specials. And normal people I don't think would think that they would be. Even though it wasn't synthy, they're definitely inspired by that shit.
Well, especially if you only think of the specials as a ska band, like if you only think of them as the two-tone, pick it up, horns.
I never even really thought of them as a ska band, but I never really had a place for them in my mind. Their songs that I knew were kind of all encompassing, I guess. So cool. I just love it so much.
That single is what got them, it got them a ton of stuff. They basically started their own record label. They like signed an imprint with a major label. So Jerry Dammers basically got to release singles for whatever artist he wanted to release singles for, but they weren't obligated to record. Like he didn't sign them to record deals. He just said, "We'll put out a single." So it like birthed this entire genre and gave them a place to release their albums, and like everything on Two Tone kind of fell in that same umbrella. It like sounded like the specials. It was all big on multiracial bands. Like there were a lot of black and white artists in bands together.
There were some cool ass bands on these documentaries.
Yeah, a lot of reggae, a lot of ska influence. But everybody kind of had their own spin and their own sound on stuff. Which there was also the Selector, which I had never listened to before either. Was
Is that the one with Paula?
yes,
Dude, she is so cool.
they were the B side of Gangsters because they didn't have enough money to record two songs, so they just released the Selector as the B side, and then they eventually became their own project, and like it blew up. That was the part that was surprising to me was how big it got, how much it sold, how big of an influence and impact it had, and that single Gangsters is what got them on the tour with the Clash.
I think sometimes a message is just so goddamn undeniable, you know? It's so off from what the popular shit is that you wouldn't think it would get popular, but it's just the message is so fucking spot on that you just can't say no, you know?
It's like people are waiting for something they don't know what they're waiting for
Totally, totally.
until it happens, and it's like this is the thing.
And waiting for someone to fucking tell you the truth, you know?
Yeah,
And that's the kind of music that just hits me so fucking hard. And we don't even have to know the backstory of it. I had no fucking idea about how deep this shit was at
yeah,
all. Zero idea. All the songs of theirs that I knew, I really didn't know the backstory of it politically and all the shit that was going on there.
uh-huh.
Again, like you were saying, I don't know about the UK's
Yeah,
history,
yeah,
you
we didn't.
know?
Yeah, we
We
didn't grow up in
barely get taught our
Coventry.
own history. Yeah, it's so fucking interesting. These documentaries were sick as fuck. And they would start off like I would put on a documentary and it would be going hard. Like a lot of these documentaries that I've watched for this podcast actually are like BBC documentaries and shit.
Hmm.
And it just starts off going hard on this history shit. And I'm like, did I touch the wrong button? And like, am I watching the wrong thing? But no, it just all ties into this deep ass music. It's so sick.
So they opened for the Clash on that tour before they even released their debut album. They were playing shows with the Clash. Bernie Rhodes managed them for a little while too.
Was that the Clash manager?
Yeah, he's the dude that basically turned Joe against the rest of the Clash and then butchered the Cut the Crap album. But that relationship didn't go very well. I think Jerry Dammers is a very difficult person.
Really? All his interviews, he seemed fun to me, but
Yeah, but I think a lot of the tension in the band was because he was a very specific, like demanding,
he wanted to be in charge.
yes, and he
I
wanted it
did
to
get
be
that.
done his way or not done.
Yeah. Well, and that's why he got left behind.
Well, exactly. I think that ended up being kind of the downfall.
You got to be flexible as a leader, man.
So they did the self-titled album after that on their own on Two Tone Records, but that came out in '79. So they'd already been playing shows for a couple of years at that point before the full-length album got released. And man, it is out of like debut albums of a band, it's the one that I think is the most perfect for what people think of the band. Like probably this and maybe Patti Smith, maybe Horses
Nice.
has a similar amount of like this is the album and it's kind of already fully formed in its best version right off the bat.
Nailed it right out the gate. I thought it was very rancid Op Ivy vibes. The Rudy and Ruby Soho connection. I was like,
Dude, so I knew, Rudy is constantly referenced in ska music. And growing up, I
You're like, who the fuck's Rudy?
didn't really understand
Yeah.
what it was or who Rudy is or what we're talking about with Rudy, and everybody's referencing Rudy. And it really wasn't until this that like now I get it. Now I know what Rudy is and the message to Rudy and like what we're talking about when we talk about Rudy.
That song's been in my head nonstop.
Yeah, like Rudy is a rude boy. Rudy's like a gangster kid, like a punk kid on the street, with
Basically, the punks of Jamaica.
yeah. And so the message to Rudy is like, get it together, get your shit together, get off the street, like
Stop your messing around.
yeah, like stay out of trouble,
When that song came on, I was welding and my dad was here
hmm
and he was like, "Oh, I know this one." I thought that was funny. These songs, a lot of these songs are really far reaching, even though even when you don't realize it. It's so weird how songs like get in there and who knows where from. A lot of them are probably from commercials or movies or whatever when we were kids. I don't fucking know, but I guess radio play because radio was more of a thing back then.
Yeah, radio and just like being on because it's all that's the sneaky thing about ska to me. It's like it's easy to just have on in the background because it has the bouncy rhythm and it sounds happy and it's
Mhm.
got like a kind of a groove to it.
But the best shit is the bouncy, happy shit that has that deep ass message where you're like, wait, what the fuck did he just say?
And that's the specials is
Yes.
it's like it has this little dark twist to
Well, yeah, and I
everything.
think reggae is kind of inherently like that. Like it has this like island, like chill energy about it, but then the lyrics are always hella political and it's so sick. It's so fucking sick. I thought the first album was kind of replacements energy too.
I do think that so the first album also produced by Elvis Costello, which how cool is that?
It's so cool.
But it was recorded live in studio. So I think that may be where some of the replacements energy is coming from. Is it like wasn't multi-tracked? They basically played everything live and then overdubbed some vocals and the horn section. But it did intentionally try to capture what their live show was like because I think their live show was really how they made a name for themselves. And so I think they tried to translate that into the studio. And I almost always prefer the more live in studio, the better.
Totally, dude, totally. It's more real that way. I thought Stupid Marriage and Too Much Too Young were fucking hilarious lyrically. And I
It's funny
related
because
super
they're kind of
hard.
like old man messages a little bit.
Well, the too much too young was apparently like an anti like teen pregnancy vibe.
Yeah, it dances the line of like being a little judgmental.
That does verge on old man.
You remember the Destiny's Child, like, what are you wearing song?
Yeah.
It's like it's in that same like mind your own business, dude. Like
Maybe that's why I related to it a little bit because I was like, I so relate to these lyrics. You've done too much too young. Now are you married with a kid when you could be having fun with me? Yeah.
it got in trouble because they mentioned contraception in it, and it like kept it from being played on the radio.
The line about welfare, I was like, no. But
Yeah,
the
see,
rest of it, I
there's
thought
some
was
of
funny.
that stuff
Yeah,
where it's
totally,
like,
totally.
yeah, you're almost, yeah, I don't know. There were just a couple of little lines where it was like, eh.
They didn't nail every little political everything, but the thing is, when I was young, I didn't either. When you're young and you're
Oh,
figuring
for
out
sure.
how you feel about things in the world at large, there's a lot of complex systems and there's a lot of really ingrained messaging. And so it's really hard to separate that from your own thoughts sometimes and like from what's right, it's complicated. So I understand. And they had a good, idea. Had good
They were
intention.
pointed in the right direction.
Exactly, exactly.
I think they did really good with the racial politics. I think they were very intentional about like presenting themselves as a multiracial band.
Well, and he specifically was like, "I wanted a multiracial band and did this on purpose."
And they would go in and play with like Nazi skinheads and try to use their music as a way to like not fight them, but like convince them, hey, you're wrong. Like it's wrong to be racist because look how we're making this work.
There was a lot of skinhead shit that I learned during this specific episode because in most people's minds, I think skinheads are all around Nazis.
Hmm.
But there originally was a faction of skinheads that were not Nazis. Like it originated as not Nazis, and basically Nazis came and took it over.
Yeah, and learning about like the National Front and stuff in the UK as well, where it basically was white nationalists, like Nazis running around beating up black people and like actually starting fights.
And this is part of the Ghost Town lyrics is all the clubs have been closed down, bands won't play here because
There's too
too
much
much fighting
fighting
on the
on the
dance
dance
floor.
floor.
Yeah. Too much fighting on
And
the
so,
dance
like,
floor.
having all that as a backdrop for their existence made the impact a lot more clear. The first album is a pretty solid mix of like originals, but also covers of classic ska songs, but also not straight up covers. They were like based on, even Gangsters is based on an old ska song from the 60s, from like a decade or so before. And about maybe less than half, but a lot of the songs, like A Message to You, Rudy, is a cover. So they had a lot of covers mixed in with their originals, which I thought was a kind of a fun way to pay tribute to the sound where they came from and kind of keep that like rather than them cashing in on a trend,
They're like, hey, this is what's up.
which I think is again
Yeah.
a complaint about the 90s. They were like, we know where we come from, we know our roots, like honoring where they came from while also applying it to a new setting and a new time and a new society.
And changing it up a little bit with all their different musical spins.
Which they kept, as we'll see again later in their career, they kept that vein going through their entire career too. Because there's a one song on the protest song that I think really does a good job of that I want to.
That album was so sick. So, one last thing about this album, the song Little Bitch is the same guitar riff basically as the Rolling Stones song. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Did Rolling Stones totally rip this off? Like,
So Mick Jagger tried to sign them to his record label.
what?
When they started Two Tone, they were shopped around to
I had
like
no
all these majors
idea.
that yeah, Mick Jagger tried to get Two Tone to be an imprint of the Rolling Stones record
He
label,
ripped that off then.
which they didn't end up going with them.
Yeah, because they created their own fucking shit.
Well, they signed with Chrysalis, who basically distributed their stuff, but they had control over, they took less money to have more control over their output.
Yeah, that's the way to go, man.
Okay, so that triple feature, Stupid Marriage, Too Much Too Young, and Little Bitch, those three in a row, those are the three that are like, you nailed the race stuff. You didn't do so good on the.
I thought those songs were great.
It's not bad. It just they didn't age as gracefully as a lot of the stuff that they did.
I'm still bopping to Too Much
I
Too
think
Young.
Little
I
Bitch is a
still
great
am on
song,
board with
even
that.
though it's
Dude,
like
and they're all good.
that's one that
Fuck
Big D and the
it.
Kids Table covered Little Bitch, and that was one where I was like, I know this, like I know this song, I
Yeah,
know the
nice,
words
nice,
and the
nice.
bass line, and
Yeah, because this band influenced so many bands that we listened to growing
for
up,
sure.
and we had no fucking idea. It's so great. It's so fun. I love it.
But yeah, that album to me, if there was only one specials album and this was it, they would still be a hugely influential, well
Totally.
worthwhile, even if we were gonna do this entire episode on one like a one album band.
Which I am down to do.
Well, we could have done it for this. That being said, there's like nine more albums that.
Then they're all
So
good.
the second one, the first one's the specials self-titled. The second one is more specials. And there was a big to do because the first one is a black and white cover, black and white band members, black and white two tone. And then the second, more specials, came out the next year, and the cover of it is in full color. And so I think it was supposed to signify that they were like moving away from the two-tone like ska specific sound a little bit and kind of branching out into different musical styles.
Interesting. I didn't even think of that, but the Stereotype song had like a bossa nova thing going on. Raquel was pretty punk.
They brought in female vocalist on a couple of tracks, Rhoda Dakar,
So good. That amped it up so much to me.
and she ends up being playing a huge part in the third album.
Yes.
But she kind of started recording with them on this album.
All the songs with chicks' vocals were primo, and it reminded me of Funkadelic.
Dude, the Enjoy Yourself, It's Later Than You Think is like,
So good.
what a song for the end times.
So fucking facts, bro.
Yes, it's just put that with like a time lapse of a glacier melting and
No
just
shit. No
there you
shit.
go.
No, I was watching a fucking specials documentary on YouTube or whatever, and there was this old ass man commenting on the video that was like, "Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Like, take it from me. I've been listening to the specials since the specials
Yeah,
came out.
it's
Like,
not getting any better.
and he was like, "Yeah, no." He was like, "Seriously, this is legit."
So this one
Uh,
definitely had a wider musical palette, I think, than the self-titled or Gangsters. Like they were pretty reggae ska centric, and Jerry Dammers wrote most of these songs with like input from the other band members and stuff. But again, I think he was kind of the band leader still up to this point. But I read in an interview that they had been touring the US a lot prior to recording this, and he had been listening to a lot of like music in like waiting rooms and lobbies and
how funny.
elevator music and stuff. And he said that he wanted to intentionally write music songs, like songs that were
How
like
fucking funny.
what he said basically it's like lounge music now, but it hadn't been repackaged yet, and so it was just this like background, waiting room music, and that's what he wanted to write.
I love doing this podcast with you because you always uncover shit that I don't find. And I love hearing that because I'm totally hearing that in my mind now when I think of this. That is so fucking funny.
But you saying it like sounded like bossa nova and stuff. It has a lot of like
Totally.
Herb Alpert vibes to it,
Totally,
like
totally. Well, in Maggie's Farm, like I was like, I really relate to this song lyrically, but also the way it sounds is totally music. That is so fucking funny, dude.
and so they go from being like the ska band, trend setting, top of the charts, and then release more specials. And it's like this album is weird.
It's like an experimental little Clash situation.
Yes, but not experimental in a like pushing the boundaries, but like experimental in how, I don't know, bland isn't the right word, but like how can we make it the most appealing, like the most palatable possible? I still think they had like a message and things to say, but they
Yeah.
packaged it in this really weird bossa nova music vibe.
But still really enjoyable.
Really enjoyable. Yeah, I don't think that ever changed, but it
No.
was definitely not the like ska punk. I could see being really burned by this album if you were a fan and bought it and then got this and you expected more of the like rowdy two-tone ska stuff that you had been used to. This is a long line of bands that establish a sound and then immediately try to prove that they are not just that sound, which I think is such a weird impulse of like, we did this thing that everybody loves and we're really good at,
But that's not what we
but
are.
that's not who we are. And it's like, it's okay if that's who you are, man. Like, you can do the thing that,
Maybe it's more like that's not all we are. We want to play around. We
yeah,
want to
I
do
think that's
more.
definitely it.
Well, an artist, I think, inherently want to experiment and try stuff too. So, and we're also inherently always finding these different things that we're interested in. So it's like that gets incorporated.
Yeah. So Do Nothing was a single off of this. After this album, before the next album, they did one more single, and that was Ghost Town. Like Ghost Town isn't on this album, but it got released after this album as like their next single. And I think it was Do Nothing that they were playing on Top of the Pops. It may have been Ghost Town, but the story is that in the dressing room at Top of the Pops when they were performing this album, they had already been having like strife, and half of the band didn't like the direction it was going, and they were always like fighting, and touring wasn't going well. But like they broke up in the dressing room at Top of the Pops, and then the original like this lineup of the specials never performed together again.
I did not get this information.
All of the different band members in various formations went on to do other things, some of which was labeled the specials, some of it.
So after the second album,
Second album was when the OG lineup split. Terry Hall and Neville Staples and Linville Golding, the guitar player and the two singers, they split off and formed Fun Boy 3.
And that was the Lunatics Have Taken Over the Asylum. Yeah. Which is such a fun song.
So after that, Jerry Dammers became the like I think the bass player and the drummer were still around. I think the other guitar player, Roddy, was like on the third album,
These names are all hella fun.
but the third album was like Jerry Dammers' album because he everybody else left.
Speaking of that, did you listen to any Terry Hall's solo stuff?
No, I didn't see any of his.
You probably wouldn't like it because it leaned a little more 80s, that shit that you don't like in the 80s, but I really liked it. It kind of had Depeche Mode energy, but it was a little less gothy than I expected, actually, but I thought it was really good. He had a song called Forever J, and it's a good song, and I watched the music video. It was really fun. I did a little bit of side research on some of these. I had a lot of fun with this.
There's a lot of lanes to go down for them for sure.
It was a lot of good stuff. I saved some of Terry Hall's solo stuff and put on various playlists because it was very interesting Depeche Mode energy.
Yeah, I listened to a little bit of Fun Boy 3 and it was kind of that same. It was like, it's fine. It's just not really.
See, you don't like that shit, but I love that shit.
Yeah.
So for me, I was real jazzed about it.
He did Fun Boy 3. He also worked with a band called The Color Field. He ended up working with the Go-Go's. He dated the one of the singers in the Go-Go's, and they wrote the song "Our Lips Are Sealed."
Yeah.
Is Terry Hall and the
Yeah.
Go-Go's singer,
Which is one of the Go-Go's best songs.
yeah, and it's about them, like it's their relationship, and they both released versions of it. I think the Go-Go's version charted the U.S. and the Fun Boy version
I
charted
believe
the U.K.
multiple women that were in the Go-Go's, Jane, Belinda, and one of the guitar players, what's her name? I don't remember. All three of them sang on the Specials albums, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that second album, I think they all sang.
Lots of really cool women sang with the Specials, like really cool. I was really excited to hear about that because I'm always been a big Jane fan from the Go-Go's.
Again, that was another. I had no idea that that song was about Terry Hall. I didn't know that Terry Hall was in the Specials. You know, like
Dude, I know. All like learning all these music connections that we didn't know is so fucking fun. This podcast is so fun.
yeah, it is. I liked the Fun Boy 3 version of Our Lips Are Sealed also. I like both
Yeah.
versions are good. They're different,
Totally.
but they're the same, but they're both good in their own way.
I think that's actually my favorite Go-Go song. So,
But dude, the third Specials album, which okay, this is where it starts to get, to be honest, those two albums, the Specials and More Specials, that is the Specials. Like after that, there's something funky with every release after that. Those two albums are the band.
I like everything.
No, I'm not saying I don't like them, but like those two albums are the Specials. Everything else is some version of the Specials with like some members and some members missing. And
Well, you know how I listen to it all before I do any research.
Yeah.
I just felt like it was evolution of the band because I didn't know members were leaving and stuff like that.
yeah,
And like this one was a little more tech right off the bat and almost kind of disco leaning. It was kind of Kraftwerk-ish, but jazz. It was
Yeah.
very interesting, I thought. The Nelson Mandela song was very Talking Heads energy.
This one is all over the place stylistically.
So catchy. I still really loved it.
It's also the darkest one. Like there's almost none of the fun upbeat. Ironically, the funnest song sonically is the Free
The
Nelson Mandela.
song. Yeah,
And it's
totally.
like about the most messed up content of all of the
Totally.
songs, but
Totally.
it's the one that's like the most upbeat.
But this song had a hand in freeing him.
Many people have attributed, not wholly, but in large part, him being freed to this song.
Art is fucking power, baby. This shit is important as fuck.
Jerry Dammers, after like he did the Nelson Mandela song, it was a huge hit, also produced by Elvis Costello.
Checks
It
out.
was a huge hit. They did this big march thing that like culminated in this giant show that there were a ton of people at, that was televised and watched by a bunch of people.
It was very free Tibet energy.
Yes, very much so. And Jerry Dammers put the bill together for that big giant festival. Nelson Mandela was released like shortly after that festival. And then Nelson Mandela's 70th birthday thing that Tracy Chapman performed at, where she,
Uh-huh.
you know, broke big and replaced Stevie
Uh-huh.
Wonder and that whole story. Jerry Dammers put that bill together. Like he organized that
Uh-huh.
show basically. So it's again, this weird.
Connections, the web of music awesomeness.
But that was his big, like after this album, which I don't think did very well, cost £500,000 to record in the mid 80s. Like he sunk himself in a huge financial hole, and this album didn't do very well. And so this basically killed the specials as like a financial entity up until the 90s. Jerry Dammers quit performing. He got really into activism stuff. He got to meet Nelson Mandela at the 70th birthday thing.
Well, yeah, he came on stage and they fucking
Yeah,
sang that shit. That's just fucking mind blowing. I would be losing my goddamn mind. Like, how do you, if I had a song that helped free this man, like, how do you even,
yeah.
I cannot even comprehend that.
Like had a globally politically impactful.
And that's like my life goals is to do shit like that. But like, if I did, the feeling of actually accomplishing it, like, I don't even know how to comprehend that.
But I mean, he did set out to do that and then did it
It's
and did it
fucking
with.
incredible, dude. And it's so annoying how, like, I feel like society, tears are just like fucking flying out of my eyes right now. But it's so annoying how, like, society, basically treats artists like totally, they don't take us seriously. They treat artists like fucking sucks on society, drains of the system or whatever. And it's like so frustrating because people like that are the ones who fucking change the world and make the world better and for everyone. It's so frustrating. We need to be valued more. God damn it. I'm like fully ass crying. Like both of my eyes are just like fucking. Ugh. This is important work and it doesn't get as much credit as it should. And with a stupid ass system of capitalism, like the people doing this very important shit should be getting all the resources, but we're not. And it's just so fun. Like starving artists should not be a term, you know?
Yeah. I fully back the message, the importance and the impact and all that stuff. To be honest, I do not like that song. I think that I think that song kind of sucks. I think
It's
it's kind
very
of
We Are the
annoying.
World. It's very that
Yes.
Michael Jackson 3LW song.
Yes. It's
But you
like
know what? Sometimes you gotta make it stupid sounding and
by about
catchy
the ninth chorus.
to to get the masses on board.
Yes, it's very
Free
blunt
Nelson
about.
Mandela.
Yes, I get it. It's
That's all
like
you need to know.
succinct to the point, but as far as like the listening experience of it,
Free Nelson
that song
Mandela.
Free Nelson Mandela followed up with a song comparing Israel's attacks on Palestine to the Holocaust.
Still
So it's
so
like
fucking painfully goddamn relevant.
yes,
How fucked
so
up is
so
this?
much of what they wrote is
Dude,
like
I know. It's so fucked up.
it's later than you think.
Ugh.
But yeah, so this album like cost a ton of money, took a long time to record. This was where I saw Rhoda Dakar. She is featured really heavily on this album, sings lead vocals on a bunch of the songs. But there were interviews with her where she was talking about like how horrible the studio experience was and how terrible he was to work with, and
Shit.
where they would have to do like hundreds of takes on songs. And she said like for weeks she just went
Ugh.
home in tears
Perfectionist.
every single night because it was so
Oh,
like
horrible.
so it like this is the point where it was really like he did not come off well. Everything where he's interviewed, he talks like he's hot shit.
Totally, I didn't hear any of this bad stuff. I watched so many documentaries.
But like every time people are talking about him, it felt like he was not a very pleasant person.
That's crazy because I watched so many documentaries and none of them said this shit. It was all positive shit.
I think he's remembered as the brains or like the musical vehicle or like motor of the band. But as far as being a easy person to be around or being somebody that's like, I don't know, he kind of seemed like a jerk.
You know, a lot of the time people with a mission, it's hard. It's a delicate balance. It's very hard when you have that drive
Yeah.
to make something important. It can be hard to not turn into a tyrant.
Especially when given the money and resources to have the ability to recreate your visions. But this is also like the first one was recorded mostly live. This one was studio. I mean, it's called In the Studio.
Well, and they probably really wanted to get it right, you know, because it was like their first. I forgive him.
Yeah. To me, there's two sides of the specials. It's Terry Hall versus Jerry Dammers, and I'm very much more on the Terry Hall side.
I like all of it though. The music, I mean, musically.
This music is a little out there for me. I love the first album. Second album's pretty good. This one was kind of the point where it was like,
I had zero notes on any of the albums that were negative. All of my notes on all of it was positive, which is kind of a little bit rare for me. Like, usually I'll have at least one criticism or something about, whatever. But I wrote that it was the most criticizing thing I wrote in all of my notes was about this album. And it just says, this one is very interesting.
I think that's definitely true. This one feels experimental in the like we are making something new, which is kind of what the first album was too. It doesn't sound that way anymore.
But I wasn't mad about it
This one still feels unique.
because so many people have emulated them.
Right.
It still feels new because it wasn't as good as the other one.
Yeah, it didn't spawn a bunch of spin-off or
Right.
copycats.
I thought what I like most about you is your girlfriend is hilarious.
Did you watch the video?
Actually, I don't think I saw the video for that
Dude,
one.
it's very strange. The Jerry Dammers is at like a bar playing piano, but also talking to this guy, but like hitting on his girlfriend at the same time. But the guy is dressed like a 1940s sailor, like in a sailor uniform. It's very, I don't know. There's some strange subtext.
I think I saw just a brief clip of it in one of the documentaries. Yeah, no, I just thought the lyrics were funny because relate.
That's pretty much what he said. He's like, who hasn't felt that way about somebody at one point or another?
Literally. Oh, what I like most about you is your girlfriend. Yeah, every time if it's a dude. Hilarious. I thought Can't Get a Break was very Chumbawamba vibes.
A lot of what they did was Chumbawamba. This album in particular felt like Chumbawamba too, where it was that pop experimentation stuff of like kind of throw everything out there and see what sticks. That was like the death of the specials. That was 1984. They didn't do anything else for like 7 years. So the next one is King of Kings, and in 1993 this producer Roger Lomas, he was gonna record a bunch of songs from Desmond Decker, who is like the OG Jamaican ska, like the man. He's referenced in some songs that I knew. The only reason I know his or knew his name was because he's referenced in some ska songs from the 90s. But they were going to record this album with all of his songs, but they needed a backing band. And so this producer was like, we'll get the specials to be Desmond Decker's backing band on his new album,
That makes sense.
but he didn't get everybody like that because the specials didn't exist. So he got the two guitar players, Neville Staple, the vocalist,
Dammers didn't agree.
and the bass player. No, Dammers doesn't do anything else with the specials past this point. Like he's no longer the specials, even though he was the specials up through the first three
He
albums.
started the specials, basically.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything else with them after in the studio.
So I get where his head's at when they're like, they stole the specials from me. Kind of, yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So, but these four play as the backing band to Desmond Decker on his album, and I think it's an album of like mostly covers. And I listened to it; it's totally fine. Like it didn't do anything.
I have more songs saved off the last one that killed the specials than I do off this one.
Yeah, this one's pretty standard, pretty straightforward. Just like this is what ska sounds like.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
But it didn't have the sauce. You know, it didn't have the like something that made it like stand out or unique.
Did you listen to the stereotypical A's, B's, and rarities?
Yes.
I really liked that one.
I think that is, if you aren't going to do the self-titled album, the
Do that one.
singles one is good because they had a bunch of singles that weren't on their full lengths.
Well, the B's and rarities, like, I don't know why these are B's. I thought this album was so super sick. That's why I messaged you and said you have to listen to this if you're not going to. And I thought it was interesting because it kind of low-key relates to Chibo Motto, Stereotype A, at least by album title.
Well, Stereotype is one of the songs in the studio,
Mhm.
and I think it was a single. But they had like a run of 10 singles in a row that all made the top 10 in the UK. But not having Ghost Town and not having Gangsters on a full-length album, like that would be the best way to have an album with those songs on there. I think the deluxe issues of a couple of albums they added that later, but it's hard to hear the specials without hearing either of those two songs, and I think having both of them in the singles album was a good call.
The 3-disc, 3-hour situation. Totally worth it. It's so
Yeah,
good.
I just did the first disc because everything else was
I
either
listened to
like
every
live
single
stuff
goddamn bit of
or
it. It was
a
great.
lot of their live re-recordings are good too.
It was great. Yeah, no, it's fun because I don't know. It's kind of cool with stuff like this to kind of feel like you're there. Stuff we missed out on that's like
Yeah.
feels really important.
Well, and they have live recordings from the 70s all the way up through the like 2014. There's a bunch of live recordings.
There's a lot of sick footage in the documentaries.
With King of Kings, they were the backing band for Desmond Decker. During that session, they also recorded a bunch of cover songs where they just like I guess they were in the studio and had the time and they recorded the songs, but instead of Desmond Decker singing, some variation or some version of this new incarnation of the specials, they like backlogged basically 2 albums worth of cover songs. But that turns into, it begins to be a theme with them because the next one they released was Today's Specials, which is just covers. Like it's a whole album full of covers. That's the one with like the yellow cover.
That one wasn't my favorite.
It was not good.
Okay, thank you. Fucking
I
thank
read
you.
some stuff with them where they said, I think it was Neville said basically these were demos and we never should have released them. So I think it was a thing where like the songs existed and whatever record label it was put them together and put them out.
I feel like something I saw was acting like it was fucking great or something, and I was like, am I missing something?
Now, it came out in 96. It was all covers. It was the same four that were on the Desmond Decker. So it didn't have Terry Hall, it didn't have Jerry Dammers.
So it was the specials, aka sort of.
Well, the specials aka this the third album is the specials aka is Jerry Dammers.
Oh,
Like
okay.
that was his thing.
Oh, okay.
The third album was actually
I thought
released
that
as
was
the
the guys that
special
broke off
aka.
without
No,
him.
they
Oh, okay.
what they were just called the specials. What a lot of people have referred to as the like that era is the specials Mark II. They're not the specials. They're not specials aka,
Okay,
but they're like the second version of the specials.
sure.
So they did that version, released King of Kings, Today's Specials, which was a cover album, and the 2 albums worth of covers that they released when they were recording with Desmond Decker. Those 2 albums got released as cover albums in 2000 and 2001. But this lineup did do a album of originals, and that was Guilty Till Proved Innocent in 1998.
Okay.
That was the one that was like an actual new album.
Punk Op Ivy vibes. Yeah, it was good too.
I liked that one a lot. Yeah,
No, I thought everything from then on was fucking great. The 2 newer ones, I didn't even know existed and are so fucking sick.
I agree. This I was really surprised by this one. The Guilty Till Proved Innocent sounded like the albums that I knew. It sounded familiar. It sounded like Operation Ivy or Less Than Jake or like
It's major Op Ivy vibes.
it had Tim Armstrong and Lars Fredriksson. They both sang vocals on one of the tracks on the album.
What?
Yeah.
Which one?
Fearful.
That's the first one I saved on this album because I liked it so much.
Yeah, well that's got the dudes from
Well,
Rancid.
and you know, we've talked some shit about Tim Armstrong, but he has this show. I don't know if it's his show, but he narrates a music documentary type show called Under the Influence. I found it on the internet on YouTube and it was sick. Like he does really good music documentaries. I was surprised. I mean, he might have nothing, he probably has nothing to do with the researching and he's probably just narrating it. But I don't know. It's interesting that they chose him him to narrate.
I mean, if it's about like punk rock stuff, I think that he
I mean, just the
is
fact that his voice is kind of
difficult to understand.
but yeah, he did a really good specials episode on that. It was really, really enjoyable though. You should watch that if you haven't. I saved it on our playlist.
Yeah, it's on the list. I watched the BBC doc, but I didn't get around to.
I watched multiple BBC docs. I actually spent a whole ass day watching specials documentaries and they were so enjoyable. Like this has been one of the most enjoyable bands to research, oddly enough, of all the ones that we've done. I really enjoyed this whole process and this whole episode.
Dude, British people love the specials.
Everybody should love the specials. They're fucking good and they have a very important message. Like if anyone in charge had listened back then, maybe we wouldn't be in the goddamn mess we're in now, but we're still experiencing the same shit that they sing about because shit is still fucked. It's interesting watching all these docs and stuff because music history is in learning about this is just confirming everything that I've always felt just naturally instinctually known, and then fucking history just keeps on repeating itself.
Yeah, people never
For
learn.
some goddamn reason. I guess humanity at large hasn't caught on yet. The world at large needs to watch these fucking music documentaries or any kind of documentary for fuck's sake and learn the shit. We keep doing the same shit over and over. And that's why bands like this are so fucking important. I've been so confused my whole life, even since I was a little kid. Like, why is this shit still happening, you know?
Yeah. Like, why have we not learned?
Why? People have been saying it over and over and fucking over. In all the good art that everyone loves, the art that changes the world, apparently it's not changing it enough because we're still dealing with these Nazi fucks. It's crazy.
Yeah, I always feel like it's a kind of a pendulum swing, you know, where like stuff gets pushed one direction, then everybody overreacts and it goes back the other direction. And then I feel like
Totally,
we're
and
in
it's
the
getting incrementally
backswing of
better every push. We are, and so I get frustrated.
yeah,
Totally.
but I feel
You're
like we're in
so
the
right.
back the hopefully the like peak of the back
The
end of
backest of the
yeah,
back, for
yeah,
fuck's sake,
that hopefully it
please.
will turn around.
Yes, exactly. Totally. And hopefully the pendulum swings way further towards the other way this next time. It's incrementally getting better, hopefully, but it's fucking harsh, dude. It's fucking harsh to live through it. The ups and downs of life and reality is like fucking intense. And this music is like so important to like get us through that, you know?
Yeah, and it has so much more to say about those sorts of things that I never would have anticipated or thought about.
Totally, because when you just hear it sonically, you're like,
Doop,
this
doop,
is just
doop, doop,
fun.
doop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally, totally, especially ska
yeah.
and whatever. But it's interesting too because when you learn about all this different stuff and all the different bands that are talking about, and you learn that they're from different places. Like I didn't even know the fucking specials were from the UK. You know what I mean? And then it's like you learn all this shit about the history in the UK and the history in fucking Africa and the history here and all this shit. And it's like so interesting how everything connects because even though it's all in different places, shit's all the same. The working class shit and it's just a universal thing that is happening fucking everywhere. UK, Japan, Mexico, blah blah blah. All these movements all happening all the time, all this shit. All the same, all the time. Time is a spiral. And the specials is super popular in all these different weird ass places because of this, because the message is so fucking universal.
Well, and I think that leads into their reunion, like because they had their first two, albums in the early 80s, late 70s, whatever, and then didn't perform together for a really long time. Had all these other weird incarnations where like half of the band was doing these cover albums and they released their thing or whatever, and they did Warp Tour and all that stuff, but it wasn't the same. I don't know. It wasn't the same incarnation. It's not the same band. It may be enjoyable to listen to, not necessarily the same band. In 2007 or 2008, Terry Hall came back into the fold and started performing with them again. And so they all toured together, minus Jerry Dammers, who said that like he would play with them again, but wanted to only play new stuff, and they didn't want to only play new stuff. And so he never joined back up with them. So they performed without him, replaced him with a different keyboard player, but toured and like played shows for years and years and years. And it wasn't until 2019 that they released their like next album of new songs or whatever.
If they ever come around again, we have to fucking go.
Well, they can't. Terry Hall's dead.
Oh,
He
fuck.
died in 2023, and they have basically said we are not going to tour anymore if Terry's not in it, it's not the specials. Like so they've kind of given
That's
up the
fucked.
name. But dude, I think Encore, their 2019 album is really good. I think it sounds the best like production-wise. I think it sounds the best out of anything that they did.
It's mind blowing. I thought their last two albums were fucking incredible.
And then Protest Songs was incredible.
My mind was fucking blown on both of these. I just everything about it. I had no idea that these existed.
Yeah, me
Listening
either.
to them for the first time, hearing these songs like BLM, they're talking about fucking Black Lives Matter. They're talking about all this shit. The 10 Commandments, Embarrassed by You, Blam Blam Fever. It's all fucking insane how relevant and exactly the same their message has been since the fucking beginning in the 70s or whatever. It's like frustrating but also validating.
It mirrors Bikini Kill's reunion a little bit too, where it was
Totally,
like,
totally.
well,
We
everything
need
they
these
were saying
motherfuckers.
still needs to be said. Like we thought,
Exactly.
we did it, we said it, we got it out there, and it's like, nope, we got to circle back around and be like, hey,
Keep
remember?
fucking saying it. Never shut up because there's still going to be idiots. There's always going to be some idiots. Hopefully not always, but fuck, man.
Yeah, there always will be. It's a it's a long line.
Ugh,
So that song, The Ten Commandments, that was the one that I wanted to circle back to because
incredible.
I think they had some ingrained misogyny in their first albums that kind of bled through in some of those songs. But this one was a really pointed statement. It's a response song to a song called The Ten Commandments written in the 60s that was basically the flip side of like the opposite of it, where it was telling like women how to behave and how to act.
I didn't realize that. I got to go listen to that. I'll hate it.
The woman that they got to do vocals on it was like filmed at a protest or at some rally or something, standing up to like not the National Front, but like some fascist either
Back
military or
then.
something. No, in like 2015 or
Oh
2016.
shit, okay.
And there's this iconic photo of her and she's wearing a special shirt.
Oh, sick.
And so they got a hold of her and were like,
That is so
"Hey, we
badass.
want to have you on our new album." And so brought her in and had her write and record the response that's the 10 commandments of basically like how women should be able to act in public and not have to worry about you being a creep or whatever. Like,
I love doing this podcast with you. It's so cool that you get to learn shit that I don't catch. That is so fucking fun. This is awesome.
so not only was that song great, but it like I think it did a lot to, I don't know, prove how much they grew or whatever, and really give a voice using their platform as like an iconic legacy band to give voice to these like a new generation.
They gave a shit the whole time, and you could tell the whole time.
Oh, for
And
sure.
that's why even when they have a couple of lines here and there that, maybe don't hold up as well, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
all's forgiven, bro, because you're obviously on the right path. We see your good work here. Yeah, no, that song was so super sick.
But yeah, after I really enjoyed their new stuff. I liked it way more than I thought I was going to. Like I kind of thought that they had kind of gone over the hill and
God, no. It was incredible
yeah, I would have straight up said don't listen to anything past the third full length and just call the rest of it like these weird
until you got to this, and
until
you're
I
like, wait
listened
a
to those
minute.
two and I was like, okay, now I feel
Yeah,
like
no,
it's the
this is some
first
serious
three
shit again.
and
Totally,
then
dude.
encore
Totally.
and protest songs. Like to me there are five specials albums. Everything else is
I thought Guilty Till Proved Innocent was sick
you
too.
could throw that in there, not required. Like I don't think that it's
Honestly, I liked all of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. None of it's
Even the
difficult to
weird
listen
shit.
to.
Yeah.
But as far as like what are the specials albums, I think I would say there are five. The fact that Jerry and Terry weren't on Guilty Till Proved Innocent, it's like that's not the specials to me.
I just liked the punkness of it, I think, and
Sure, yeah, sonically, I'm not saying it's a
it
bad
just
album.
vibed with me sonically, yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad album. It just isn't. It's a different thing than I think all of the stuff in the 90s and early 2000s is a different thing until Terry Hall comes back in the 2000s. But yeah, he passed away, I think, in 2023. And so they've said that's the end of the specials. They're not doing any more. But there's a ton of live stuff to listen to.
You never know. Maybe Jerry Dammers will get his shit
That's kind of the
together
thing
and
is like I could see him putting a group together and then calling it the
totally.
specials and
Or coming to terms with some shit and coming back to the guys.
yeah,
That'd be
maybe.
sick as fuck.
I they do not seem like they like each other in like
Yeah, no.
interviews and stuff.
Terry was vocally pretty important, I feel like.
Even one of the Roddy guitar player, he left in 2015, and there were some interviews where you're like, thank God he's not in the band anymore. Like, so it just felt like they all kind of like it worked until it didn't work, you know. And
But at least, they came together and they had a shared goal and
sure,
they did some really important shit while they could tolerate each other. It doesn't have to last forever. Nothing's permanent. Everything's impermanent. That's the nature of reality.
but it was very reminiscent of Parliament Funkadelic in the like
Totally on all fronts.
members moving in and out, and they kind of kept it going the whole time.
Even sonically sometimes.
Yeah, there was some crossover there too.
It was a really interesting follow up to that you did not plan for, I'm assuming, and was really cool and fun for me. Like there was so much connection actually to Parliament Funkadelic and so much shit that we've done before.
Oh yeah, I figured there'd be some connections to stuff we'd done before, but how far reaching
But it actually connected to almost everything we've done before. It connected to Hano, it connected to the Spice Girls, even like it connected to fucking everything. It's crazy. So cool. I loved this one.
Yeah, this was a great one. I definitely I would say listen to the first album to get the most iconic version of the specials, and then those five albums are the if you want to keep going down that, I think listening to those five. But really, if you did the first one and encore, I think like kind of bookend with those, or
Mm,
even protest songs, the first and
yeah.
last album, that kind of give you a good swath.
And I feel like now is a really, really good time to be listening to this band specifically because it is so fucking relevant to our unfortunate reality right now.
Yeah.
It's the rich white fucks are still ruining it all for all of us, and we all still need to band together to stop this shit. And it's been happening forever, and it's still fucking happening. And it's cool that artists are still talking about this shit, but it's also sad when you go back to look at these old bands and you're like, fuck, it's the same fucking shit that we're dealing with now. But it's cool because the specials showed us that it's not about color, it's not about where you're from, it's all a universal thing. Are you down to be oppressed by dictators? No? Okay, then let's do this.
Yeah, and it's about unity and it's about finding,
Exactly.
I don't know, finding community and coming together and working to make people's lives better. Like I feel like there's so much energy in subjugating people or putting people down, and this was the opposite of that, of like, I don't know, how to raise each other up.
Yeah. And we apparently fucking love music like that.
Well, it's a
because
good
we keep
message. That's
choosing
how
it.
I feel
Yeah.
about real life. So it,
Same. But isn't it funny how we keep subconsciously being drawn to bands that we don't even know that that's their message, you know?
yeah,
I think people with an ethical, moral, proper message, whatever you want to call it, I don't know, it just hits harder without even knowing what it is somehow.
it has meaning, it has purpose, it has a reason to exist, and it's clearly a thing that connects with people and speaks to people on a deeper level than just, oh, it sounds nice or you can dance to it or whatever. Because this you can dance to and it's still saying something.
Exactly. I dance to this like crazy. It's so fucking groovy, similar to Parliament Funkadelic. And it was really interesting. You know, I was talking about at the Parliament show, like I felt so like I could unmask and just be myself and I felt comfortable and stuff. And one of the women in the documentaries that I was watching, I wish I could remember her name. She was talking about how this is the only time that her going to see the specials, she finally felt comfortable being, I think she was like half black, half Asian, and like a woman and just all these different minorities. And it's like, I finally felt like I was fine the way I was just being in this atmosphere or whatever. And that's how I felt at the fucking Parliament show. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Music is magic, dude.
Yeah. Well, you got anything else?
I feel pretty good. I mean, I actually, it's funny because watching these documentaries had my brain popping the fuck off. And I wrote more notes off of these documentaries than any notes I've taken on any other prior episodes. Like, I wrote so long, lengthy fucking notes just of what my brain was doing during this, connecting all the shit and just how deeply it impacts me, you know, and how deeply I connect to this type of stuff.
Yeah, did you get to communicate all of that?
You know, a lot of it, yeah. I wrote so much that it's like,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
typed
I went
there's a
really
ton of.
into depth of reflection.
Well, yours was reflective. I'm obsessed with the iterations of this band. It like
Yeah,
that was really trying to figure out who was on what albums and which players. I think Linville Golding is on most of the recordings. I think the guitar player is on most of the recordings. Because Neville, the other singer, is not in the new. The new incarnation is just Terry Hall, Linville, and the bass player, uh,
weird.
Horace Parker.
I didn't
No,
realize
not
that
him.
Neville wasn't on it anymore.
No, he dropped out in like the 20, like him and the
Weird,
other
because I
guitar
think of
player.
him as such a big part of
Yeah,
it.
he's not in the new specials. He's not on the new albums at all.
Hmm.
It's the bass player and
In my
the,
mind, it's like Neville, Terry, Dammers, and the other black dude, and those are the main guys.
yeah.
But then there's like a couple other white and black guys that kind of pop in and
Well,
out.
so Horace Parker, the bass player, is in most of the Horace
So he's
Parker and
actually probably
Linville
the
Golding
most
are in
consistent.
most of them,
The
the
fucking
bass and
bass player,
guitar.
of course,
Yeah.
the fucking backbone of the band.
He's in the new ones, the bass player, the guitar player, and Terry Hall. But like, I just kept trying to be like, who is? Oh, they also played with Damon Albarn at Glastonbury in 2017 when they like the first time they got back together.
There was a lot of crossover with a lot of bands.
Terry Hall, I think, sings on some Gorillaz
Yeah.
songs over the course of their discography. I don't know, man. They're
I feel
they're
like Gorillaz intermeshes with literally
if
everything
they're
they've done.
British, they're on a Gorillaz recording
And it's
somewhere.
really weird because The Clash is the first episode we did, but I somehow feel like that connects to pretty much every episode too.
Yeah, they are the Nexus.
They really kind of are. And we didn't like plan for that or anything. It's really interesting how all this is shaken out. I mean, obviously our like music tastes are informing a lot of it, so it's all, you know, kind of connect in a way maybe, but bands that sound like other bands are obviously influenced by each other, probably message-wise too. I don't know. The whole thing is just really fun, the web we're building here. And
Speaking of bands that sound like other bands, are you ready for the Wheel of Death entry
oh
for?
crap. I don't have a clue what to
All
expect
right,
here.
so here's my Wheel of Death thought. The 90s had like brought the ska third wave revival, which kind of brought like the sound of the specials back into somewhat mainstream notoriety, especially like ska punk stuff, you know, like the
You
Less Than
giving us a
Jakes
crappy ska band?
and Mighty Mighty Boss Tones of the world.
Uh-huh,
So I
uh-huh.
looked up some ska bands, but honestly, like
They're all pretty enjoyable.
I think they would all kind of pretty much be the same. I think we would be okay with listening to any of them. I don't think there are any that are like bad enough. We've already used Smash Mouth, which I feel like is
Ugh,
the go-to 90s like bad
ugh.
band. So instead of for the Wheel of Death, instead of going the ska revival route of the 90s, there was also at a very similar time to the ska revival, a very big swing revival in the 90s, if you
Okay,
recall.
okay,
A lot of
okay.
zoot suit
Oh,
riots happening
recall.
on the
I was swing
streets.
dancing it like crazy at that era.
Well, okay, I was gonna say I'm trying to work Cherry Poppin' Daddies into a reference that isn't graphic and upsetting, but there was a
I
lot of
popped some
that
cherries, daddy.
happening. But for our Wheel of Death entry, we're gonna take one swing revival band that has, I believe, at least two Christmas albums.
Oh, fuck
We're
you,
gonna
first of all.
add the big bad Voodoo Daddies to the Wheel of Death. It's actually just Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, but we're gonna add the swing revival band Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. When was the last time you heard that?
Combination of words? No, no, I don't. I do not recall. That is hilarious. A hilarious choice. I'm not mad at it. I could. It could be okay. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be.
It'll at least be good for a laugh. I don't think it'll piss me off too bad.
Well, I'm done making predictions because I keep saying that won't be that bad, and then it ends up being the worst possible option. So yeah, Big Bad Voodoo
You're
Daddy.
right.
It's a manageable amount. It's only like six albums, but we'll get some
Okay, thank God.
swing revivalism in.
Okay, that sounds hilarious. I'm down. I kind of low key hope that's what we get because so far we have Anne Marie, Crazy Town, Skrillex.
You better be writing these down because I'm not.
So anyway, okay, you ready to hear the next band?
Let's do it.
So I actually like, I had written down a vague plan ahead for this season or whatever, but I didn't think ahead today until, like 10 minutes ago. I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm in charge of this part." So I kind of wanted to I feel like a lot of our bands this season are kind of connecting way more than I expected, like especially the last two. I mean, honestly, even Kraftwerk plays into all of this too. So the last few have been like too closely connected in my mind, even though they're different genres. It's really odd how that's working out, and this might work out the same way. But I kind of wanted to go a different era, a different genre, something different than we've done ever. And I've been wanting to do this band because I really like them, and I really want to make you listen to them. So we're gonna do Neutral Milk Hotel.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. I may have already listened to all of their. This may be the first band where I've heard everything they've done before.
We'll find out. But I really like them, and I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, sure. I would consider them one of my favorite bands. So
Me too. Okay, cool. Interesting. I didn't know that. So that'll be cool. How did I not know that? I have a lot to say about
I
them already.
own both of their albums already.
Fuck yeah. Awesome. Okay. This will be really interesting then. We can maybe dive deep on some research mode since we already know the music.
Cool. Okay. Well, hopefully this is the easy one. Hopefully we don't uncover something that ruins this band for me.
This was really fun. Thanks for the specials. Thank you for listening to Retrospectrum. Follow us on social media at Retrospectrum Pod. Subscribe to our Patreon at Retrospectrum Pod. And if you like what we do, leave a 5-star review. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dog. Bye.
Retrospect.